In the studio with me is Jerry Windham. Now, I know the name, everybody knows the name Jerry Windham. Now you can put a face with it. Now, you've been on 19 before.
I have. Been a few
But
times.
it's
Been
been a
on your
while.
corner too. Thank
Yes, but it's been a while.
you. It has.
Welcome to the little corner.
Thank you very much.
I know you're running for supervisor, but everybody knows you from First Monday.
Well, if a lot of people have been to First Monday, so I would think, if they came by the office, they'd see me. They'd see me in there or run around, me and my wife Allison. So,
Well, a lot of times we might not know when we see you, but we know the name. We've heard the name.
It's
I live in
possible,
Tippah
yeah.
County, they've heard the name. Yeah, heard the Jerry Windham name. But now, tell us a little about yourself, and I know you've done this before, but it's been a long time.
it has.
All right, hometown,
It's Ripley.
that's what I thought. Parents,
The late Wayne and Betty Windham. My dad passed away in 2014. My mom just passed away this past January 26th.
your uncle lived up the road from me, Leland.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Yeah, Uncle
yeah, I
Leland.
lived on Hazel.
He was the first of the Windhams to pass away.
Oh, he was good people.
Yep.
All right, you went to Ripley School.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
married.
I am. I married James Otis and Edwina Smith's daughter from Walnut, Mississippi, Allison. She worked at the service station, it's National Service Station up there. It's about the last full service station in the county, and she grew up there. So she knows everybody in the first district, and they know her.
We need a full service.
We do.
I mean, like ladies that are single for whatever reason, everybody don't know how to pump gas.
That's right. And
How to pump
does,
gas.
and Morrison's does a great job. They do.
Yes, they do.
But James Otis offered service just like any automotive. You just drive up there, he could do it all. I mean, he's really something.
Oh,
He's a great man to know, and I've missed him. He died in 2001, and I've missed him every year since. I mean, it's been that way.
people don't realize how much we need. I mean, everything's self-service, and it sounds easy, and First Monday's kind of self-service too.
Just
Well,
about.
it is. It's getting that way. I mean,
it
it's getting
is.
that way.
It
But,
is.
when you're able and can help each other, that's good. But then when you're not, you really need accommodation. But First Monday kind of qualifies you a little bit. You're running for supervisor, and that kind of qualifies you because you keep all that up in there, don't you?
I do, yes, ma'am. It's a large grounds that we have to maintain, everywhere from the roads, to the signage, just everything, about it. It's almost like its own little entity, its own little town that we have to maintain. And, we have staff, we have tractors and graders and, all that kind of stuff down there too. So it's something that's familiar. Now, I know, in the present day supervisor world that, that's only really a small portion of what's done. And we have a road manager and experts in that to handle that. You just need, you need people that to make decisions on how those resources are allocated and where they're put, and, make sure everybody's treated fairly across the county. I think that's a big thing for a lot of people. When I first set out to run for supervisor, my thing was to make smart decisions instead of political decisions. So that's my theme. So if I say it a few times today, just have a little patience. But, once I was in as the election commissioner for the 2nd District, once I was there, I saw a lot of decisions made strictly for political purposes. Money had nothing to do with it. Efficiency, nothing to do with it. What's the right thing? Nothing to do with it. Political. And I thought, that's not what we need, not at this time in our life, So I really want to jump in there and try to make decisions, my decisions, the people's decisions that are good for everybody and not just one select group. So that's me.
People are hurting for money right now, and we're more conscious of how our tax money is spent than we used to be.
Absolutely, and we should be. Absolutely. I don't want to get behind, so I can talk. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But we're definitely, people care about what you do with their tax money now.
Absolutely.
Long time ago, I thought, well, they taxed anyway, so what's the difference?
That's right.
But when you drive over cruddy roads, and still pay taxes, that gets old.
When you see it going up and up and up and up,
That's
and the
right.
roads not going up and up and up with it,
That's
I mean,
right.
what's going on? And I know roads is just, it's a large portion of the budget, but, I mean,
That's
roads is
what
just
we
one of the
notice.
aspects. There's a lot of other
That's what
things.
we noticed.
That's what you notice, absolutely.
You think about it, we were told that if the county went wet, that we'd have better roads.
It's true, yeah, that's what they said.
Well, we should have known that wasn't gonna work out. We've all been to Potts Camp.
Yeah, the roads is rough over there.
Terrible.
That's a good one, that's a good one. Sure
We
is.
should all know better than that. But I can't tell that it has helped our roads any. And now, that's not the station's opinion, that's mine. You're gonna throw eggs, throw them at me, not John.
I'll say now, some districts have a little bit better roads than the others, and I think that needs to be looked at too. There's some that's neglected, especially out on the edges, I get frustrated a lot when people are saying, they've been to the meetings or they spoke to the supervisor and well, there's just not enough boats out there to finish that road out. Is that really what that's about?
Oh,
You
my
know what I'm saying?
goodness.
And I know it really hurts people's feelings, especially when you get out on the edge, like I said. Now,
No, it tears my car up,
it does. I lived on dirt.
especially these newer cars.
I lived on a dirt road for a long time, so I know exactly
Yeah.
what it's like. And I feel for you. I do. I really feel for you.
Now,
We could not keep our house clean.
an older car will kind of take it. I drive older cars. But if you got a new car, I mean, they're made out of plastic.
They're plastic. You're absolutely right.
You
They
hit
are.
them potholes, that car ain't gonna last.
You're right.
That's terrible, terrible. If you're elected, what's the first thing you'll do?
I think the first thing I would do is really, I'm an accountant by trade. Okay, so I want to not just look at the summary given to us by the clerk. I want to drill down on something. One thing is I think we're overspending a lot of money in the election cycles. Because I was a commissioner, I know that's there. So that's something that I know I can go in and really help. Now, being a supervisor, you're one of 5, okay? And that's a board, and a board runs the entire county. Even though you're elected by the district, you represent every person in the county because it's a board decision. But I think there's a couple on there that would follow, if there was somebody really to drill down. So I would use my accounting skills, I think, to narrow down and really eliminate some waste right off the bat. So that's my first thing. And, my second thing is let's look at the other programs that we're doing. Are we making wise decisions there, or are we making political ones? So anywhere I could see some political decisions being run, I would want to jump in. And as a supervisor, they can't say, oh, well, that's not for you. I would have access to records and files then. The clerk would have to answer. And I think that's, because I've gone there and requested records before as a commissioner. Good service.
Really?
Absolutely. Got nothing. Wouldn't give them to me.
Or if the chancellor clerk.
This is, the upstairs. So,
But
I think we can-
I
I
thought
think
that
we
was
can
public
change-
record.
well, it's, you would think, but
It's
they're not.
just sort of.
They'll give you the budget, but they're not going to drill down because they have this by district, by code, that's what I want.
Yeah.
So, it's, what's the word? The devil's in the details?
Yeah.
That's
it
the
is.
one I want to flush out.
That's right. All right, where does your district cover? Who is in your district?
My district covers just north of Ripley. It'll go to the left side of Highway 15 or the west side. Right across, starts there about, I think, the church, the Church of Christ, the North Ripley Church of Christ there. I think that's right there in that area. Okay, I don't know the exact line right there, but it goes from there up to past Faulkner, almost to Tippersville on that side, on the west side. And then on the east side, it goes up to Faulkner, almost to Faulkner before it goes over to the right. I would say, not quite that far. County Road 500, most of that is not, well,
Now, that's Peoples Road.
that's Peoples Road. So I covered just a small portion of Peoples Road, and then it goes north to Pocahontas area and then back, where
You know,
Jimmy Gunn's.
roads made better sense to me when they had names.
Yeah, I agree with that. I tell you.
These numbers, you lose track.
Yep. So it's a good thing, but most all of Faulkner, North Ripley, and most all of Faulkner, there's 2 boxes as far as precinct. So if you vote at the old Martin Animal Clinic, now the Northeast Building, okay, that's a second district. That's probably the largest box in the county. And then Faulkner, if you vote at the town hall, that box is second district. So that's only 2 boxes.
Oh, and I hadn't asked anybody this, but they still have absentee ballots, don't they?
They do. They
Yeah,
do.
but if you're not able to stand in line, you can go to,
You can call the
courthouse
clerk's
where you
office.
talk
Yeah,
to.
you can call the clerk's office. You can ask for Randy or Sandra or any of them in there. They're really good to do that. So I really want to reach out to anybody that has any mobility issues or anything that, can't get to the polls on that day. Reach out to them. And you got to have a reason why you can't come. But, like you said, if you have trouble standing or walking or getting over ledges, they're there. You have to overcome all that. I know the Northeast is real ADA compliant, so it's not hard. The town hall, that my box is very ADA compliant. They will bring the tablets out to your car if you want to do drive-ups too. But get those absentees. I think they're released about 45 days before the election. So make sure you get those. Now, I will have to say I'm not a huge fan of the new absentee system that was passed for COVID. There's a lot of ambiguity left out there that I think a lot of the people at the state that I've talked to thought that, this was a one-year thing, everything reverts back. Well, no, that's not how that worked. Nothing reverted back. I mean,
Never
you've
does.
seen how and I am a Republican, sorry, but you've seen how the Democrats in Congress and ever have taken real advantage of that whole system in these ballot harvesting and these boxes and all this stuff that they put out. So right now, they need to tighten that back up so that we know have a clear winner on election day. So.
I remember when everybody was a Democrat, but now everybody's Republican.
It is. It
Times
is.
change.
And I worked hard on that. I did. I go way back on that one.
Well, if your parents were, then you kind of raised that way, but things have changed.
Things have changed. I will say,
It does.
my dad told me one time, it wasn't that he left the Democratic Party, it was the Democratic Party left him.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think as a Southern person, most everybody around here has the same beliefs. We want to be conservative, with our money and with our religion, and things. I think a lot of us are tolerant of other people, but you don't have to get up all in my face with
Yeah.
stuff I don't believe in. And I'm not going to do you that way. Don't do me. So it's kind of an equal trade out.
I love everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, what they do is their business.
That's right.
And if they live different than I do, well, that's between them and the Lord. Not that I won't tell them, but it's not that I don't care about them.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Sometimes I get a little mouthy.
I'm with
do.
you.
I do.
I'm with you. I can jump on the soapbox in a minute.
But several years ago, the county voted in a new system that kind of drew everything together. It's unified. Can you explain to us how it is, and does it work well?
Okay, so I think what you're referring to is what used to be the beat system, then changed to the unit system. And I'll have to say that my dad, Wayne Windham, and a group of people, including Miss Mavis Clemmer, just passed away. A long time ago, they got together. They called themselves the Citizens Council, and they met down at First Monday once a month. They were real big into that, and that was one of the things that they were trying to accomplish, and that was to get off of the the beat system and go to a unit. The unit system was much more efficient, and it separated the supervisors from actually being on the graders and things like that, and let them do more of the running of the county, and you hire a professional to run the roads. And then the clerk is supposed to, divvy those monies out to each district appropriately, and then the board kind of guides and directs all that kind of stuff. So, in my opinion, and I think Dad and the rest of them were correct in doing so, and that's move to the unit system, do away with 5 stockpiles of gravel and get down to 2, one in the north and one in the south. Reduce staff, graders, and all that stuff tremendously, because you didn't have to have duplicates that were just sitting at some shop. This way they're there and they're running every day. So it's much more efficient on the unit system. So I'm a big fan. I just want to make sure, like I said, the devil's in the details, that supervisors aren't dipping too far into that. You got
Well, I know
people
used to, if it come
responsible
a
for it.
pothole in your road, you called your supervisor and
That's
he
right.
run out there and fixed it.
That's right.
And now, if you got a pothole, it might take you 6 months to get somebody out there to look at it.
It does.
There's
But
a lot of red tape.
that's really, the supervisor has complete control over, not complete control, he's not supposed to, but he's got a direct path to the road manager, okay? And if the road manager's not doing his job, you call your supervisor, and that's what they're there for. So if I had a pothole, I'd call him, and and if he didn't do it, I'd call him again. I just, I hate to say it, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but
Just keep bugging them.
yeah.
We're bad. We are just bad. But I do remember when you could just phone call.
You
We're
could.
done.
You could.
We're done. Are we not, with this unit system, are we not hiring extra people and paying out more in salaries than it was in the big system?
I thought so. That was one of my kind of kickbacks to my dad when he was really pushing that. But the efficiency of the system really makes up for that, okay? Now, at one time, we were hiring a county manager, and we were spending a lot of money, We don't do that anymore. The staffs are much more in line with normal personnel, and I think, that kind of is over time. I think a lot of, when we swapped over from the beat system, and I'm not wanting to step on too many toes, but the supervisors didn't like it, that was being taken away, because they felt like they were taking their power. And they tried to put mechanisms in place to make that system not work well. And I think over time, things have come back to that, but I think there's a lot of things that still need to be ironed out. That, again, comes back to political decisions and not smart decisions, and that's where I stand, okay? If it's not working right, we need to fix it. Don't matter what kind of system, if it ain't working right, fix it, Now, I'm not a fan of fixing things that ain't broke either, but, there's I think there's a lot of room for improvement just based off, your question, and everybody sees the same thing. You're not the only one. So, I think there's some things that need to be fixed. Those potholes, when they're reported, there needs to be a system in place to make sure that doesn't slip through some crack somewhere. When I ran DixieNet, we had a ticketing system, and when you have 1,000 tickets coming in every day, it's easy to drop, something through the hopper kind of deal. But we put mechanisms in place. We put people behind those for follow-ups. So call them, okay, did you get your problem resolved? No. Well, instead of just going back to that person, that went to, it went to me or Chris Marsalis or somebody that, to go back and say, hey, this was on your desk. You marked it as clear. This person said nobody contacted them. What's going on? Let's look out. So you got to have, and that's what the supervisors are there for. They're the check, So if your balance ain't right, you need to call the check and get it back in place.
Now, when you're supervisor, do you have to work with the city too, don't you?
You do, absolutely.
Because some of the areas are in the city.
We, everybody except, well, I think First District has Walnut, Second District entirely Faulkner, so I would, entirely in that range. And then I've also got part of Ripley. So, yeah, you have to work with all of them.
You gotta get along with
And-
everybody.
And it's great because, you can share a lot of resources if you're working smart. And that's how I like to do it, I don't like to reinvent the wheel, and I like to use synergies. If Walnut's doing something, if we can throw in and help, and if we can get double the traction out of that, I mean, that, again, smart
Makes
versus
sense.
political.
Sometimes things just make sense.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah. Okay, driving on the roads in your district, do you see room for improvement?
Oh my gosh, yes, I do
knew
now.
that. I know where your district is, and I do that.
Okay, so, and I don't know how much time we got, but Second District is notorious for the clay, okay? So if we have a lot of rain, that clay will swell, and if it dries out, and cracks, I mean, you've seen it out in the ground. My road, my dad and me, and, there was only two people on it when we paved it. We actually paved the county. We didn't pay the county, no, that's not right. We donated a large chunk of money to the county, and they paved the county road. And that was fine. I understood there wasn't but two voters, on a road. But, we've had to go
Well,
back and we've had
If
to.
I have to drive up that road to tear my
That's right.
car up.
That's right. Hey, they drive up there with garbage trucks and stuff like
That's
that.
right.
And, the ground moves a lot. And now, now we've got 5 or 6 people living on that road. Now we got a fireman. In the middle of the night, he'll be called out. Now, he's going to come down that road at 50 miles an hour. Now, if he can hold it, because
if he
he's
can
going to hit
hold
a
it,
bump.
yeah.
If he can hold it in the lines there, because he's got to get to that fire and save somebody's life. So it's very
That's right.
important to get these roads as best they can.
Well, an ambulance.
Ambulance, same thing.
I mean, that's serious.
How many times I had to call for my dad, to get an ambulance up there. I never had to call one for my mom, but thank goodness. But my dad, we had to call several times.
Did you ever ride an ambulance?
Me?
Yeah.
I have.
That is not the smoothest ride.
It's not. It's like riding in
And
a
then
U-Haul
when you're on
truck.
this bumpy road, too. It's terrible.
You're right. You're
Terrible. Terrible. And then you're already sick and trying not to die.
That's right. I was strapped to a board and couldn't move. So wherever that board bounced, I bounced.
Yeah.
Was it. Yep.
Terrible, terrible. I know I went to visit a friend, and I went way out Cooper Street. Terrible.
Yep.
The roads out that way. And, if we have a unit system that's supposed to make everything the same, my road's good. What's wrong with their road?
Uh-huh.
That doesn't make sense.
It don't. Hey, again, devil's in the details.
Yeah, nobody's gonna like me. Hey, Jerry, you get me in trouble every time you come down here.
I could now, I'm telling you.
Oh, me. Which is harder to maintain, a dirt road or paved?
Harder to maintain?
Expensive.
Well, I would probably say the paving is more expensive because you can just run that grader, And I know they do a good job. Like I said, I got a lot of relatives still live on dirt roads. I live behind Tipple Lake, so once you get into the forest, it's
Yeah, you
all
do.
dirt roads out there. It's all county roads, but there's a lot of dirt, out there. And Meemaw used to keep my son Ben, so I ran that. And just like you were talking earlier, those new cars can't take that.
No.
Beat that car to death, kind of deal. But, once you get it paved, you have your potholes and stuff like that. But I think you can maintain it probably quicker with your graders and your equipment. If you're rolling them right, again, your road manager, has got to make sure he's doing his job. And, you can run a lot of jobs at one time, in my opinion. But, really making that investment into paving, once we did that at First Monday, man, it made it a lot easier. So I say, once we make that investment, it's a lot easier to maintain the blacktop.
I love
Easier.
that.
It's more expensive, but it's way easier and way better.
And people with COPD will love you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I lived
Oh,
on dirt
yes.
road. I know, I feel.
I know Tate had COPD, and when they paved that road out there on at Faulkner, I thought he was gonna get out and kiss the ground, I'm telling you. Because, that would just choke him to death.
Yep.
It really would. What is a state-maintained road?
Well, a state-maintained road, like your highways or and I know like 334 in the first district, and your 7-something out there. A lot of those are covered under the state highway program, and so they'll allocate funds for those to be done. Now, some of them are joint with the county that they've worked on. I know, there's a lot of cooperation with that. But mainly, as far as supervisors go, most of theirs is going to be directed to the county roads and not to the state roads. Because they have different criteria, they're going to have different stripage, different widths that they have to maintain to be part of the state program. So really, we don't get a whole lot of say in that other than, call the Transportation Commissioner and get something done.
They don't get around and get stuff done.
It's hard. And
I got a lot of red tape.
it is. But, sometimes if you can just get those guys up here, it'll change. I know we had a Republican meeting and we had the Northern Commissioner up here. And Tommy Walter had told me that they were working on Highway 2. And I know Highway 2 needed it, but Highway 15 needed it a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And so I asked the commissioner about it. Well, I think it's scheduled for next spring. I said, I tell you what, because he brought a driver with him. I said, I tell you what, for the next few miles, why don't you drive? Because he was leaving us early to go to Boonville Republican meeting over there. So he said, okay, I'll do that. That's fair enough. I said, you just need to do it. So he called about a month later and says, we've accelerated that program. We're going to resurface 15. Because once he found out that,
Yes.
he's doing that, then,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. When your road's hard to control, you need somebody on, whether it's a county road or a state road or a federal road, somebody needs to get involved.
Now, bringing new businesses into the county, what kind of business would you look for? I mean,
Yeah.
we need some jobs here. I mean, county, city, we got to have some jobs.
I think absolutely, and I see GRT Rubber up there and now hiring, Ashley now hiring. There's like 50 signs across through there. Now hiring, apply inside. So I know we got manufacturing jobs that we need, but I think we need some service jobs. We need some, which is really big. Get a gas line run.
Yeah.
In your house. And it's not like you can just make a phone call and they come next week or a couple days.
Oh,
We're talking months.
You're
So
right.
we really need some service jobs. We need some training for that. I know the Northeast is supposed to help, a lot of that. And I think a lot of the educational stuff is out. But yes, I think we need service related jobs, and not just food.
Uh-huh.
I mean, food's great, I love the variety, that you can have with that, but I think we need some service-related jobs in helping people at their house and at their business too.
There's only so many people that go out and eat, and when you spread that group so thin, then places start going out of business.
They will. Mm-hmm.
We always say we need a restaurant, we need this. Well, we've got so many, we have one to leave.
That's right.
We got one that's leaving now. If you'll notice, we get a new one in and one will go out. We get a new one in. Over the years, as long as I've lived here, one will go in, one will go out.
I think you're very correct.
Because there's only so much business to be had. I really think that. Do you think the 4-lane is going to help us?
Yes, I do think the 4-lane's going to help us.
Do you think we're going to get it?
I did see some stuff on there. Now, I will,
We've been waiting a while.
we've been waiting a while, hadn't we? And, it's going to bypass First Monday, and, that's a big part of my life. Is that going to help? I really didn't want it to, but.
Not going to help you.
Not going to help me as far as that, but it's going to help traffic because we do cause
If we advertise you and get you more business, where are you putting it?
that's a good issue. I mean, right now, and it's possible that it's going to happen this month. If it's not, it's going to happen in May. But it's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour to drive from Blue Mountain to Ripley on the first Monday, Saturday morning.
Yes.
That's, you know, I
Yes.
know that's a problem, and I apologize for that, but I want everybody to step back and say, well, golly, what kind of economic boom is that bringing, not only to just Ripley, but all the towns around Ripley, all the counties around
That's
Ripley. I
right.
mean, we pull for 200 miles, and we're bringing thing in, and First Monday's been an economic engine of this county for a long time, and
Lot of years.
I hope people give me a little bit of slack, but when they get the 4-lane around, now, having said that, the hospital is a big thing. It's a
Yes.
big thing for me.
Yes.
I was so glad to see them do the old hospital. When I was in high school, I was a hospital explorer, so, you know, I covered all that with the doctors. I wanted to be a doctor, wound up being an accountant, but zoology taught me a lesson.
Yeah, I bet. It would be.
But, you know, I'm so glad they did that. But, you know, right now we're under a rural status, and I tried forever to get the hospital to do it. And finally, when they had these managers and the supervisor did all this, or the board, you know, hospital board, were hiring Baptist and North Mississippi, and they were paying huge amounts of dollars to be professionally run. You know, when Jerry Green left up there, he had a lot of money in the bank. He kind of could do a lot of things, okay? And then, you know, next thing you know, well, we're barely hanging on. We can't have enough to turn the lights on. Well, you're giving it all away kind of deal. So finally, and I did, I raised Cain with him. Stroop, I talked to Eddie Stroop a long time. I think he was part of helping get some of that back, or making some changes, or putting it in direction. Finally, we got Patrick Chapman, and I'd gone to him before. Y'all qualify for rule. Come on, do this rule. Well, Patrick came from the rural world because we've been servicing him from DixieNet over at Ashland for a while. So he applied the rule, so we got rule status. So now they're getting a whole lot more money because of the situation that we're in. I mean, it's just a fact of life, and the government recognizes this problem, and they made exception. Now, once we get that 4-lane, it may jeopardize our rural status on that because of the transportation. And I don't want to be a Band-Aid station. I want to be a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's a fine line. So if they want to do the 4-lane, I forget, once they check, it's so many years. So let's leave that last section south of town
Yeah.
for the last leg.
Well,
But let's go ahead and do the
it's
rest.
not really going right in front of the hospital, is it?
No,
I don't think so.
But I think if you can be within so many miles of a 4-lane, it knocks you out. So right now, if you follow Google Maps to New Albany Hospital, it takes you to Cotton Plant, where it turns you and goes that cutoff road, right? Well, the 4-lane stops right there. So they don't have to say 4-lane, so they're staying on 2-lane road. Now, they may take the 4-lane. That's up to the ambulance driver. But, so it's a fine
That's something
line.
to think about.
But yeah,
Yeah.
if they'll just save that little section for the last leg, then, you know, and then let's get that so that we can maintain it. I think we get an extra 5 years of rural status out of it, which will really help our hospital get paid for.
It would.
And then I think it'd be better.
It would. People working at the hospital need to be making good salaries, and I think we don't pay as much as other hospitals.
You know, I've never had that conversation, so
I
I
had
need
somebody
to.
tell me that
I need to jump
yesterday.
in there.
Yes.
Because, you know, if you want to have a good hospital, you gotta put the right resources in place.
Yes.
And
Yes.
everything I've done, I've always found out people is where the real resource is. You know, First Monday's a great thing. It's been here 100-something years, right? We were in severe decline because we didn't have the right people in the right spots. Okay, my dad was sick, and you know we were just kind of neglecting. And when we had to, then we made some arrangements, and we put things back in order. And you know we've seen a surge of 3 times of the crowds. So that's why it's going to take a long time Saturday to get through town.
Yes, it does. But Patrick Chapman has done a wonderful
He has.
job with this hospital.
He
really
has.
has.
He's
And-
awesome at that. I was so glad they get him.
And I expect with this new, with the new building and more patients, I feel like that the salaries will go up and they'll be competitive.
I do too.
I feel like they will.
And Brad Needham's running their IT up there, and I dealt with Brad. DixieNet supplied them
We
fiber.
gotta have hospital.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
We just got to, no matter what. I've seen some of these communities do without,
that's right.
but, I mean, look, when you have a bad wreck, and I've been in them, you need a good stop somewhere,
That's right,
big time,
absolutely. And
and a good ER. That's the
I
main
know
thing.
my daughter had a wreck right after Christmas and was killed, and those people were so thoughtful of us. They were so good to us at this hospital.
Yeah, they
We
were.
were at the emergency room at Ripley, and they went out of their way to be good to us.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, he's come a long way. Do the supervisors manage the trash pickup in the county?
It's my understanding that they are in charge of doing the contracts for that.
Okay.
So, I would think anybody that has say in the contract also has say in, hey, we got a problem, let's go back and work something out kind of deal. But, yeah, I think they're the ones that do. I have a relationship with Waste Connection, and I know that they bid on it a few times, and they do part of the county. Yes, the supervisors are very much in play in that. So if something's not being done right, then, supervisors can, and they have some liaisons that they talk with back and forth that can iron out little wrinkles. And then if you find something, well, those contracts come up yearly. If you have a real big issue, you may find some compromise to get through, but then when the contract comes up, we can iron out the details. But
I know
again,
RES has got a contract, and they do a lot of,
they do.
they do a real good job. You see them fancy garbage cans sitting there.
Yeah,
RES has been there.
they are.
They're very
Yeah.
clean looking.
And they are. And, I have a good relationship with them as well. We dealt with them for a long time up there. And even when I was at Dixonet, we supplied their data services and all that kind of stuff. So, both there and then with Waste Connection up in the northern part of the county. So, I think
Those are, the lid is attached to them. They don't fly
Uh-huh.
off in the wind, and they're very, very efficient.
they are. They are.
efficient.
Now I'm in the county, so I don't get to see
I don't either.
a lot of that.
I see it, but I don't have it either.
I bought my own,
I think the county would be,
dumpster thing.
if the county had that would be a good
I
thing.
think so.
Do away with these big, everybody's got these big trash bins where the dogs drag it out.
Mhm.
It
I've seen
turns
some
into
bad
a
areas.
mess.
And hey, you brought that up, but there's some areas in the county that and I don't know all the legal status of that, but there's some areas that really need to be cleaned up too, and that's something else. I don't know if but you go ahead with your questions, and
go
then
ahead. Go
well,
ahead.
and I was talking with somebody. I mean, really, Tippa is a jewel. We're the jewel, really.
That's beautiful.
We're here, I think this 13 county across the northeast corner is called the Crescent. And really, Tippa is one of the jewels of the Crescent. And I think that we really need, people just don't know that. And when you talk about jobs and you talk about stuff like that, if we really took a really serious look at marketing Tippa County and what
Yes.
Tippa County has to offer, not only just to some few service industry, or not big industries, but, into our service industries and into some other stuff and some tourism with First Monday. And I think there's a lot of strategic partnerships that the supervisors could get involved with to bring in more business, just general business. And now, when we bring in business, we bring in dollars, and dollars equals jobs, and jobs equals more dollars, and then, more taxes, more, everything. So it's a real,
We really don't
Cascade.
advertise what we have.
No.
Jerry, you get me in all kind of trouble, but I'll just plunge in. We have the most beautiful historic museum that I have seen.
Yep.
And my first husband and I enjoyed museums, and we went way off to look at museums. And I've never seen anything that would top the one in Tipp County. And
it's
people
good.
come from miles away because it has such a great history area in the museum. They want to see this World War and stuff,
Yep.
this history stuff. And nobody in Tipp County knows nothing about it, and if they do, they don't go.
Not much. Now, they are moving, right?
No,
Oh, yeah, they bought the
I
old
thought they
clinic
owned
building.
that.
They did, well, People's Bank, I think, owned it.
Oh,
Okay. But they bought the clinic building that DixieNet renovated, the old,
oh, yeah.
so that was,
Beautiful building.
that was, a lot, there's a lot of the Faulkner stuff see, the old Faulkner home place was on that block. So when the post office bought it, they tore down the Faulkner house. And they took the wood and stuff and they built the clinic, the Tate, that was actually the Tate Clinic at the time, I guess. So they built that. It later became a boarding house no, it was a boarding house when the Tates moved out, and then it became the hospital. It was the hospital for a while. There's a lot of people that was born in that building. So now they're going to move the museum up to there, and hopefully, if we ever get the rails to trails to come through, then that's going to be the whistle stop for everything. That's going to be the head end. So we're going to have the museum coupled with all this other stuff. So I think again, that was a smart play if it all works out, because that puts all the synergies in place to do that. And then going back to your museum, a lot of that stuff in there was donated by my dad by First
That's
Monday in there.
fantastic.
So I was real proud of that. Actually, I live in a log cabin, and my dad first had dreams of doing this log cabin and putting all these pieces in there of the old way of life. He was a real big fan of the old way of life. And that was kind of the plan until me and Allison decided to get married. He said, Jerry, that sure would be a pretty house. So when he did that, he had no place for his looms and his spinning wheels
Yeah.
and all that, so we put it in the museum.
Oh, I saw them. They're
Yeah.
upstairs, yes.
I actually sat down at First Monday and
Amazing.
would run that loom. If you can believe that.
Amazing.
My Aunt Betty showed me how to spin cotton and make threads.
Ah,
That was really cool.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
But if you haven't been in the Tipp County Historic Museum, make an effort to go. You don't know what you're missing. The industrial park businesses, what does the supervisors, what would you like to see out there? We got our industrial park.
We've got several, actually, not
Yes.
just one. We got one up the north part of the county. We've got one up here. The city's got one here. I think, that the county can be more involved in. There's several out there. I don't know it looks like there's still some lands out there for that. But I know I've done a lot of work out at the one on Murray Spur Road. There's still a lot of area out there that they bought from the Barclays that really needs to be developed out there. I hate that, we've got some. I don't know that we have anything that's not being used right now. I know for a while there were some vacants, but then I know Ashley picked up. I know Profile.
The building I know of would be in town, it'd be that Fred's building.
That's true. That's
The
true.
only one I know of that's empty.
But I think McCafferty's got a lot of stuff still in that. So
Right.
I know he had his office products, but mostly it was all his medical products. So I think he's still got a lot of stuff in there.
Right.
But yeah, that really could be used for something too. But I hate to put, really, well, it would just depend. But, the Ripley Square really needs, I guess, more business, more. I can remember as a kid walking up there and, hey, Saturday morning, that place was hopping.
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh,
And now it's all offices.
That's a lot of offices, several churches, because they can get the buildings cheap,
Yeah.
and I'm all about churches, but I don't think it needs to be right there, when that's your little core, kind of. But all small towns have changed. They're all doing stuff. A lot of them are the offices.
Everything's moving out on the highway.
Everything wanted to move out on the highway just
Yeah.
because of the traffic, But I think, and I know Elizabeth's done a great job at Main Street. My wife was a Main
She
Street
has.
director at a while. And so really making it pretty, it's prettier now than it's ever been. And I think you couple that with doing some business, and I know Chris and Melinda really are big on getting that with the radio station, because they're up there a lot
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So I'm wanting to see a resurgence of the downtown Ripley. I miss that. I miss that
Yeah.
Saturday morning, kids, families everywhere.
They were. They were from back when the sidewalks were wood. They were.
Yeah, And you could walk over to the courthouse and really see some interesting stuff,
Yeah.
Who slapped who this week, It was
Yes. That's
my
the
dad was a
truth.
JP judge, so I got to sit up in there and see a lot of that. It was always fun.
I bet it was.
It was.
Have you ever been to the board meetings?
I have been to the board meeting several times, a couple as a commissioner, two, and then several, two or three, I think, as more of a business owner, to have some issue that was brought up. The last was a First Monday issue that we had to go. They asked us to come up and I guess, I don't know, it's real, you got to be real gentle in how that works. But we had some issues down there that some people had complained about, and I had video of because I had put up some cameras, and I had video disproving what these people were saying. So, they had gone to the supervisors to, I guess, put us out of business, okay? So we had to go defend ourselves to them, and they were, not that I know they could, but, the supervisors could make life harder, or,
Yeah, they can.
or they can help us or hurt us, right?
Yeah, they can.
So, but they were all gracious to hear it, and, when I had presented the facts just the way they are, I mean, I wasn't trying to sugarcoat anything, then they said, well, you did the right thing, and we appreciate it, And I told them, look, if you ever have any issues, hey, pick up the phone, we'll work it out, because I want to work good with the supervisors. I thought they worked good for us. Now, having said that, as the economic engine that First Monday is, I've talked to them independently and at different functions or whatever, really doing something on their part to, help facilitate the whole weekend of a First Monday weekend, not just for us, but for the county. What can the county do to bring, more people in there? What partnerships can we make to make everybody some money? Because I'm all about paying the county some money. I am. I would love to split. I'm a big revenue splitter when it comes to business. You got skin in the game. I got skin in the game. Let's both go win. Okay, or we both lose. That's our, that's how it works. But I think me and you working together, we can win more than you trying to do your thing, me trying to do my thing.
That's right.
So,
That's
anyway.
right. Absolutely. But First Monday's been a great asset to Tipp County for a long time.
I hope it has. I really feel like it has.
And it just, we live in a day and age of cameras.
We do.
You have to be careful what you say, because I guarantee you somewhere you're on film.
There you are.
That's it. If you say something you don't want anybody to know, there's a camera somewhere.
It is.
In the churches and the business, there's cameras somewhere. Everybody was talking about this, everybody fussed about these self-checkouts that they have at the stores. And, and I thought, well, how in the world do they, because not everybody's honest.
That's
But
right.
I guarantee you look up, you'll see yourself on camera.
Eye in the sky. That's right.
Yes. Because it just, that's the world we live in.
And I
That
did.
is.
I went up there, and because the way my buggy was, I pulled it around to the left-hand side. Burr, burr, burr. That camera saw that I had moved product across that without, hitting the little thing. So it's
You were in
watching.
trouble.
Yeah.
I
It wasn't a
bought
person. It had to be AI. But
I bought a coat one time, and I didn't check myself out. I went through a checkout line, and every time that I go in a store, that alarm would go off, and everybody looks at you like you stole something. And
Yep.
finally, I was in New Albany, and this alarm goes off, and this lady was so nice. She said, "Come here, just come here." I said, "Everywhere I go, it happens." Under the collar in the back, there was one of those little things,
one of the little tag things that set it off. Mm-hmm.
I was so embarrassed, so embarrassed. I thought everybody would think I stole my coat, But the checkout girl just failed to get it off. But
And then they'll
things
just,
happen.
don't worry about it, right?
Uh-huh.
They wave you on. Yeah,
Yes.
I've done that too.
And my daughter bought a dress one time down at Dirt Cheap, and it had one on it.
Well, they don't have scanners down there, do they?
No, and she knew somebody that worked up here at Fred's that got it off for her.
Okay. Got the little thing.
Yes. So you have to watch that stuff. But anywhere you're at now, there's cameras. So tell us again, you're running for supervisor.
Running for supervisor, second district. Now, I've lived in the second district the entire time we've lived in Tippah County. My roots go back to Jeremiah Huddleston. He moved out there in the 1800s. I saw
great.
my grandmother, I saw when she was 10 years old, or 1910. She was in the census, and all it said was second district. Had no address. It was
How
just
neat.
second district, but it was.
Isn't that neat?
And she was the baby, so it was Jeremiah, Fanny, and Clara. So that's my grandmother was Clara Huddleston Gaddis. So I'm a Huddleston on one side and a
Kin to
Windham on the other.
everybody.
Kin to everybody up there. If
Kin
you
to
second district, we
everybody.
are related. So
Yes.
this is cousin be cousins.
So to vote for cousin, I'm telling you.
That's correct.
And-
But again,
and, no.
I am running for supervisor. Lifelong here, married to Allison Windham. Got an accounting degree from the University of Mississippi. I want to use that to really narrow down and make smart decisions, not political ones. I understand the need for political decisions at political times, but I think Tippah County in this day and age, we just need smart ones. Whether it costs the job or not, if you put me in there, please do if you can. If you can't, vote for some of the other fine candidates. They're all good guys. But if you put me in there, and if I don't do the suit, then put me right out. That's the way I'll play with it.
Remember August the 8th, Jerry Windham, second district supervisor. This is Daryl at Daryl's Little Corner. May God bless.
Thank you.
Okay, on a lighter note, let's talk about some of these laws in Mississippi. Now, this not all from here. We've talked in times past about laws in other states and other countries. Now, these laws has been in place a long time, and I thought we might benefit from knowing what we don't need to do. This right around close to home. First one is be careful where you park your truck in Brandon, Mississippi. We may have business in Brandon or occasion to go there. A city law, now it's a city law, says it's illegal to prevent someone from walking down the street by putting your truck in the way. Apparently it's not that the truck has to watch for the pedestrian, but you just gotta not put your truck in their way. Yeah, I told you it was on a lighter note. In Mississippi, it is illegal for an atheist to hold a political office. I tell you, we need to write that one down. It is illegal for an atheist to hold political office in the state of Mississippi. I looked these up. I didn't think them up. I looked them up. In Ridgeland, Mississippi, it is illegal to put exterior burglar bars on windows if they are visible from the street. But don't laugh, because it's a $1,000 fine if you put bars on your windows. I've seen people put bars on the windows of their house, and it keeps the burglars out, but I always thought if it caught on fire, you couldn't get out. So there's an up and a downside to everything we do. But I thought that was funny that you couldn't see them from the street. In Oxford, now Oxford is right next door to us. We go to the doctor in Oxford sometimes. In Oxford, Mississippi, it is illegal to cheer at a ball game unless there is good reason to. So be careful. There's good reason to, okay? Also in Oxford, it's illegal to drive around the square 100 times continuously. Now, I tell you, I've drove around the square at Oxford, and usually there's a bunch of kids college. You know, Oxford's a college town, and there's kids everywhere, young people. You're not going to drive around the square 100 times continuously, I don't think. In Mississippi, drugstores cannot sell poison to children. That makes sense, okay? In Mississippi, cattle rustling is punishable by hanging. Well, I bet that law was put on the books a long time ago. But according to the law, if somebody steals your cattle, you can hang them. Watch out for wandering around broke. In Mississippi, a vagrant is punishable by a $250 fine or a month in prison. Well, if they're vagrant, they don't have $250 for the fine. I remember when we had a friend, we were in Florida, and my husband and I were coming to Mississippi. And we had this friend with us, and he said he always carried $10 in his pocket so they couldn't pick him up for vagrancy. I don't know why I remember that. I was like 16 years old, so that's been a day or two ago. Yeah. But he did. He always carried a $10 bill in his pocket in case they stopped him for vagrancy. In Hazelhurst, Mississippi, it is illegal to fish with an Uzi. I guess they were going to shoot the fish. I don't know. An Uzi is some kind of a gun. I'm really into guns. I don't think I've ever seen one. In Winona, it is illegal to honk your horn because it could scare a horse. You know, in a way, that's funny, but in a way, it's not. Now, I don't know about Winona, but I know up around Pontotoc, there's people that travel with horse and buggies. If you got behind them and started blowing the horn, it very well could cause a problem. It could. So I don't know if that one is so funny. I meant to pick out the funny ones. In Temperance, Mississippi, you can only walk your dog if the dog is wearing a diaper. Yeah, okay. One night in 1977 in the little town of Flora, Mississippi. Anybody ever been to Flora? Flora, Mississippi. I'm going to look that up and find out where that's at. They sighted a UFO. It was one of the most famous UFO sightings in the world. 24 police officers saw a giant floating object just above the tree lines across a cotton field, and it was deemed to be a UFO. You know, back in the 60s, there was a lot of talk about UFOs. People built bomb shelters, and it was a lot of talk about UFOs back in those days. I never saw one, but now I knew people that swore them down they did, and there were people that said they'd been taken away and returned, and all kinds of stuff about UFOs. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. Okay, on a lighter note, President Teddy Roosevelt refused to shoot a captured bear. Did you know that famous bear hunt took place in Sharkey County, Mississippi? So we're famous. Yeah, I knew Mississippi was special. I knew we were special. This is Daryl at Daryl's Little Corner. I hope you enjoyed our little lighter segment. Thank you.